Hey, and welcome to Things Worth Learning. I'm your host, Matt Stauffer. This is a show where a curious computer programmer who knows how to talk, that's me, interviews fascinating people about their passions. My guest today is my dear and old friend, Danielle Tubbs, the founder of the vegan cookie company, Tubby's Taste. Danielle, would you mind telling the audience a little bit about yourself, whether it's your personal or your professional life?
Sure. Hi, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
I am Danielle Tubbs. I am CEO and founder of Tubby's Taste, which is a boldly flavored, Jamaican-inspired vegan cookie company. I'm based in Chicago, but I'm actually originally from Miami and went to college at the University of Florida, which is where I met Matt a million years ago, seemingly.
So long.
Yeah, and right now, let's see, what else? I run a vegan cookie company. I write poetry when I'm feeling really emo.
Sometimes you podcast, although I think the podcast's dead right now, huh?
Yeah, I don't have time for podcasting, but I had 3 episodes of a podcast where I basically just kept all of my listeners company while they did or didn't do whatever it was.
It really felt like we were just hanging out. It was real good. And you send me TikToks. That's one of the things you do in your free time.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
One of my passions is sending Matt TikToks. And I love post-apocalyptic type shows, eating good food. Everything I cook at home is plant-based and delicious and really creative. And I really like going for long walks. So...
Okay.
Yeah.
And getting to know all the random people in your Chicago neighborhood.
Yes. Yeah. My best friend is a 89-year-old man who's been on the block since 1947. Shout out, Mr. Bobby.
I feel like I want Mr. Bobby on the podcast.
Yeah.
I have to bring him in for this. Okay.
Great.
So real quick, not everybody has the experience of knowing what plant-based or vegan means. I mean, most people have heard of vegan at some point in their lives, but I think one of the interesting stories is that you did start doing vegan cookies. And I know we'll get to this in a second, but you did it before you were actually vegan, but now you're cooking primarily plant-based. Does plant-based and vegan mean the same thing, or is there any delineation that we need for anybody?
So I would say plant-based and vegan depends on who you ask. Yeah. In my terms, they are. Okay. Like I just say plant-based because it sounds sexier. But I mean, no animal products, so no dairy, no eggs in your items. And then I think some people take it further and say, no honey, of course, like no animal products. So honey would be not listed as vegan, but there are some people who are plant-based that like use honey. I do not.
Got it.
And then there's like real things that you can get into with like sugar. Like for me, I use organic cane sugar because there's a really unsexy thing with regular processed sugar where they use like maybe animal bones to like smush it up or something.
Did not know this.
Yeah, you can get real.
Okay. So even both with plant-based and vegan, there's varying levels of like adherence to like how far have you gone back in the production chain to figure out what they're using? Is that kind of one of the things you're saying? I think with vegan, it's completely like, if you're trying to not like use any animal-based products, then that's like the term for you. Got it. So I use vegan for my cookies because they actually are. Okay, cool. Yeah. And then sometimes I think with just like new foods and a lot of the mock meats and stuff. Yeah, they do call them plant-based instead of vegan. Huh? They do call them plant-based. Yeah, you're seeing plant-based more. I think it just is like a sexier term. But then some people, I've seen some reports of people like looking on the back and they're like, this actually isn't fully vegan. Got it. So okay. And then there's a vegan lifestyle where it's like you don't wear leather or you don't, which makes sense because plant-based makes more sense because it can be a plant-based food, which is different than all the other things that vegan could possibly mean. Yeah. Yeah. So you could say I adhere to a vegan diet, but not necessarily like stop wearing lifestyle. Your leather shoes or whatever. Okay. I do want to just for everybody who knows, I think we've all joked about the fact that like if you ever want to know if somebody's vegan or does CrossFit or Peloton or whatever, you'll already know because they've already told you. And Danielle is not that person. And honestly, like I don't think of you as that, even though I know that you now actually do cook that way. But like, again, for the longest time, your story when you were telling people about Tubby's Taste was just kind of like, yeah, I run a vegan cookie company and I'm not vegan. And then that led into some really interesting questions. I know we're probably not going to get the whole, well, actually, we'll probably get into that today, so we don't need to get that right now. But I do want to note that I've tasted these cookies many, many, many times, and they don't taste vegan. They just taste whatever that means, right? I know a lot of people have said vegan sweets are really hard to pull off, and these are just freaking great. So let's just set that in people's brains as you listen for the next 30 minutes. Don't think about this being some nasty tasting stuff that tastes like plants. Like, it tastes like an amazing cookie. So,
although plants can taste good, everything can taste good with some seasonings.
Okay, fair enough. Speaking as a very normal food consumer, I have some ideas. So, all right. So, the first question is always, do you have any sort of life mantra or phrase or idea you try to live your life by?
I think for me, there's two things. I think timing is everything. That's something I've more recently in the last couple of years have been living by. Just accepting that a no right now doesn't necessarily mean never. And things work out at the right time for hopefully the best outcome. And then my other one is do something today that your future self will be proud of you for.
Ooh.
So whether it's okay, I'm tired, but I got to cook this food so that I have food for the next 3 days.
Yeah.
Or I should go on this walk. Or instead of binging another episode of the show, let me walk up and down my stairs for 5 minutes like I did last night.
I love that. Come on.
Yeah, because it's winter in Chicago. Sometimes you don't want to go outside.
You do that walk inside because you got to get it. Yeah, it was 29 degrees this morning, and I felt like I was so spoiled for complaining that I was working out in 29 degrees because I'm sure that up there it's a lot colder. So
honestly, I don't think we're that colder today.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, I felt very proud of myself to get an outside workout in 29 degrees because most days I don't want to do that. So
yeah, I'll be walking to work right after this, which is good.
Yeah, no, I mean not woof. Yay!
No, it's all about those layers,
right? Yeah, I do have multiple workout layers. I was workout shorts, workout pants, thick shirt, workout jacket, second workout jacket, hat, and you just, shed them as you need. And
you could also do a little bit of a shorter workout or do something inside.
I moved some of the workout inside, so yeah, you got that. Yeah. All right, so, this podcast is about one particular topic that you're really passionate about. Can you tell me what we're going to talk about today?
I think I decided on following your dreams, even though it may be the more harder path. It's harder, painful.
Yeah, stressful, tricky. Less predictable, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so I feel like where I want to start with this one is I feel like we can't know about you following your dreams unless we know your actual story. So could you tell the real quick story of what does it look like from you, going from where you were before to where you are now? What is the dream that you're following, and what was the process of actually making that decision?
Yeah. So I guess I'll start quickly with college. Okay. So in college, I started off as an interior design major. And I think I just wanted to be on Extreme Makeover Home Edition. I remember that show. Move that bus.
Yes.
Every Sunday, just bawling. Damn, Ty Pennington, you get me every time.
Ty.
So I started off as an interior design major, and then over the next 2 years, I realized I was okay, but I wasn't great at it. I was good enough, somewhat. And at the University of Florida, after 2 years, they have this evaluation called Pinup. And you kind of pin up all your best work, and then the judges go through and they select and see if you are good enough to go on to upper division. If not, you can retake some classes or you switch your major.
Right.
So sophomore year, I realized for every break that I had in college, I didn't really go home except for Christmas break, but I was going on service trips. So coming to Chicago for a spring break to do some service stuff, going to Nicaragua for a month to do service stuff. So I realized that I was spending all of my free time helping people. And I just didn't really see a path for me with interior design doing that. I would have probably just ended up doing something that's really beautiful and aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah. Which is
a
job.
Not necessarily helping the people that I wanted to help. So I came back sophomore year, after maybe spring break of sophomore year, right before that pinup evaluation. And I decided to walk into my advisor's office and switch my major. And my friends, the morning of pinup, my friends are texting me, "Hey girl, we don't see your board. What's going on?" Like it was such a like rash decision, but I knew that it was like right for me. So I switched my major to sociology because my thought process was, well, if I want to help people, I'm not going to be all pompous and like assume that I know what they've been through. So let me study people.
Yeah, I love that.
So then for the next 2 years and like the summers and everything, I went to school and studied sociology. And I think a combination of growing up in Miami where you just are faced with like, okay, not especially a Black person in Miami, you're faced with like, okay, not everybody is going to be like me. Not everybody's going to believe the same things. Not everybody's going to be from the same place. There's a lot of diversity in Miami, which I value. And I thank it for. And so that combined with being a sociology major and learning about all sorts of people, you know, I took poverty classes, I took human sexuality classes. I just like was filled with all this knowledge and appreciation for all different types of people. That kind of helped me to grow into the person I am now. And I ended up graduating with a sociology degree, and it was 2011 and there were no jobs. A lot of my friends ended up going to do Teach for America, and I decided to do City Year. And with City Year, you pick a certain city. So I picked Chicago because it had like, really had a great impact on me when we went spring break, sophomore year. So I came to Chicago where I knew no one and did AmeriCorps. And then that led into working in education nonprofits for a number of years. So I spent my early adulthood figuring out, all of that admin kind of work, and which, benefited the stuff that I do now for sure. And allowed me to see so many different aspects of the city. Like I've never lived like a basic existence in Chicago where I feel like you can move here, you could work in like a corporate setting, make good money, live in your like very convenient neighborhood right off the lake and like just be a basic bitch. Yeah. And I've never been able to afford to be a basic bitch.
Touche.
So I've had to like, experience a little bit more of the like real Chicago.
Real life,
So I've been super far south, super east, where you're like basically your phone's saying welcome to Indiana, super far north, like and I've seen it all. So it's been a great, experience. But working in education nonprofits, like I was a great employee, loved my like coworkers, my bosses loved me, I did good work, but there was something that was still like, I don't know, like I felt still a little basic. I'm like, this is just like not very, I don't know, riveting for me. Like I don't feel like I'm being able to be my true self. And one, like maybe it's emotion, feeling that I love is the sense of wonder. I don't know. Some people don't. Yeah. Some people do not like change. Some people do not like, the unknown. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. I'm like, ooh, what will this next year bring? Yeah. So I remember like, do you remember that song Oceans?
Yeah. It's funny because before you tell me this, the thing that came in my head right now was Into the Unknown from Frozen 2. That was this one in my head right now. So, but yeah, I remember Oceans. So,
I remember being like 24 and like listening to a song, like walking down the street and be like, God, like what will become of my life? Like where will I be in the next, whatever. And I was just like tired of like being able to afford to go to like wine bars after work. And like, that was my like thrill, like,
Yeah. I mean, nothing wrong with the wine bar, right? But that's hopefully there's more in life.
No, love a wine bar. Right. But like that was like, like whatever. So I was like, okay, so I can afford to live by myself in this cheap apartment. And this is it. Like I just felt, not creative, not, outside of like, let me decorate my apartment. Like there was nothing else really left, I felt like.
Yeah.
And I had been baking for a couple years. And so going back to Miami, I grew up in a Jamaican household, and Jamaicans have these traditional cakes for the holidays. There's black cake, fruit like, which is also like a fruit cake, rum cake, sweet potato pudding, all these things. My mom, my aunt, my grandmother, they were like the masters of this and sold it to people in the community. So it'd be like every person they met and their coworker, you know, come Christmas time, calling up with orders. And they're all, you know, Jamaican, so they all like worked in healthcare and like had multiple other jobs and stuff. So I grew up with that. People who look like me baking. I knew we could do it. Everybody in my family can cook something serious. It wasn't until I tried other people's food that I said, oh no. Oh no. Even restaurants, I go and I'm like, oh no.
I'm just going to make my own food. It'll be better.
Yeah, like I was spoiled, you know? So anyway, I ended up just like learning, like teaching myself how to bake from scratch. Because when I was helping them, I was like cutting parchment, sifting flour, doing the things they didn't want to do. So I learned how to bake from scratch and over years brought things to work, parties, all of that. About 2 years in, one of my friends who's vegan was like, hey, I wish you would make something that we all could enjoy.
Did it sound like what that would be?
No, not at all. That's not her voice at all. You know,
all right.
You should hear what your voice is. No, I'm
shoot.
I don't have a voice. So anyway.
No, I'm very curious, but yeah, keep going.
So got into the kitchen, you know, started experimenting. And I'm like, well, if it's going to be vegan, it's going to pass these stipulations of being vegan. It also has to pass my taste test.
Right.
And because my last name is Tubbs, my college nickname is Tubby. Tubby's Taste.
There you go.
Is the name of the company. Yeah. So basically, I spent years just thinking it was a hobby because everybody in my family, they got their full-time job. They got their, you know, side hustle, hobby, whatever. Went to therapy because yeah, it's great. My dad, my dad ended up passing away like somewhat suddenly. And then I like went to therapy because I was like, I got to get it together. I got to, you know, get some closure and whatnot. And so started going to therapy for that. And then eventually like got some closure on that and started just complaining about my 9 to 5 being unfulfilling.
Yeah.
And so my therapist was like, well, if you could like get paid to do anything, what would you do? That's also not her voice at all.
Well, that sounds like a very therapist-y voice. So it's okay. No judgment.
Yeah. I was like, Tubby's Taste, but like, I'm gonna support myself on that.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I don't know, do some research, figure out what it takes to be legit. And so I came back 2 weeks later, we had our session. She's like, hey, did you do your homework? Did you figure out like what it takes to make it legit? And I was like, oh yeah, bought a domain name and now I'm an LLC.
There you go.
And she's like, what? So from there, I've kind of just like, every year crafted like what I wanted to do. And I continued to work in education nonprofit for years after that, for 4 years after that. And then at a certain point, found myself, you know, after people were like, hey, we really see you moving up in this department to this and this level. And in my head, I'm like, I don't see myself here. I really see myself not doing this. So, but then it was one day that I was like crying on State Street to what is her name? Emily Sande. Emily Sande?
I don't know. I've never heard of her.
Anyway, it's called Architect or Sweet Architect or something. Okay. I don't know. I connect with music.
Yeah, totally.
So I'm like walking down State Street past, I don't know, Target or something, Foot Locker, I don't know. And I'm just like tears streaming down my face. And I text one of my friends and I'm like, I want to grow my business. I want to do this, but I can't afford to do it. And she's like, okay, move out of your 1-bedroom, move into my basement apartment, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And so I cut my expenses, I think by like 60%, started saving money, eventually left my 9 to 5 with about 6 months of living expenses saved, knowing that I would have to pick up side hustles to still pay rent. Like I wasn't just going to live off of that.
Yeah.
So I went from having like doing my business, you know, here and there to more time, not even full time, just more time.
Yeah.
I had flexible side hustles of babysitting and then one where I worked with a nonprofit, shout out to future founders, and went into schools a couple of days a week, worked with students. And yeah, every year I had a different kind of level of like more commitment. And then with the pandemic, both the side hustles were dead. Yeah. And I had to like make the business work and it was hard. And definitely got on the unemployment because I was not making any money from the business. And then after George Floyd, I posted about just not even want to sell people cookies. Like, it's hard enough being like a Black woman and then a Black woman business owner. Like, I just don't want to like get back to business as usual when we're like dying out here. And Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery and countless other names, you know, at that time. And I ended up being featured in like a viral article that was like 11 Black owned businesses to support that are vegan and ship nationwide by Veg Out magazine. And I got 500 orders in like 10 days. And all of my friends who their side hustles or their businesses were surrounding events, of course, for 2020, they were shut down. So they're like, we want to help you out. We want to come see you win. So I had people who were like event decorators, event planners, you know, PAs on movie sets, like all of a sudden packaging cookies and taking things to USPS, which we quickly changed to UPS and all of these things. And then since then been able to scale up the business. But has it been easy? No. Has it been scary? Yes. But for some reason, I've always known that, like, I will survive, I guess. I will get through it. And I think because of my background, one, I don't come from money. Like, there's never been, like, a lot of, like, oh, I could just, you know, mom and dad. Well, there's no dad. But, like, mom can, like, back me up if I... Nope. Nope.
You on your own here.
So I think it's, like, I've had to, like, figure it out. And I live pretty leanly. I'm not like a big flashy girl. Hence going this long without getting my nails done. Getting them done this weekend.
Hey, okay.
But yeah, I think there's certain things about me that are set up well for this kind of unpredictable entrepreneurship life. That have helped. So I think when analyzing, you know, going the hard route, especially for me, like I make a product.
Physical products.
Honestly,
physical supplies.
I could like
and physical
have
shipping.
a talent where I could code something and it could like, in my mind, it works while I sleep. I don't know what you think.
No, that's kind of what it does because once it's on there, it's just making money.
Like, or if I could create a course and like, who's to say it can't, but like, you know what I mean?
Maybe that's the next thing.
Makes money. That would be great. But, or even if it was something I could ship worldwide because of shelf life, because my cookies are vegan, nut, soy, and preservative free.
So they got to be fresh when you ship them out. So it's kind of like every order requires effort. There's no kind of like, it's just going to scale wildly.
We freeze because freezing is a natural preservative. So there's that. But like, there's like a limit on how much, you know, unless I have like a warehouse type freezer. So
well, I got questions. Go ahead. I was gonna say I got questions, so you don't have to keep talking. But if you got more to say, go ahead.
I was gonna say that like it's been worth it. Though, you know, because I wake up, even though there's like challenges, and you know, sometimes I'm making a good amount of money, and then sometimes I don't hit my goal or whatever. I know that it's like everything's moving in the right direction. I've seen a lot of traction since I've been able to do the business full time. I've gotten PR opportunities that have really just like validated how much I've worked and everything that I've like done up to this point. I'm like pulling from pieces of that, like winning pitch competitions and stuff. Like I had to go through the struggle of those first couple of years to even gather that information to put in the pitch competition. So I'm seeing like all of that, like everything was worth it. Kind of thing.
So, and I mean, I'd love to go there in a second talking about like how because I think not everyone would understand that like you're not just making cookies, you are building a website, you are consistently submitting yourself to pitch competitions to get $5,000 for this so you can get a new machine that's going to allow you to scoop them faster or whatever. You know, there's so many pieces here of the work that you're doing, and every single day you're doing something, and you're like, oh, I had the opportunity to be on this particular news segment. So now I can hopefully get that. There's always new stuff you're doing there. I want to get there in a second, but I want to go back for a little bit. When it came to the sacrifices you had to make the transition, I called it your corporate job. I know it's not actually corporate, it's nonprofit, but I think it's it's the 9 to 5, making the transition from the 9 to 5 to stepping away from that. Because you've been doing it as a side hustle before. I think a lot of people know how to make a side hustle, or at least hopefully have been given inspiration from other places of go find something you're super interested in, find some way that it overlaps with people who are willing to pay money for it. I feel like that's a more manageable, well-taught thing, but I think it's that shift when you're willing to drop the 9 to 5. I think a lot of people think I'm going to drop to the 9 to 5 when my side hustle is able to reproduce the income I'm making from my 9 to 5. Yeah. For you, it wasn't that. You said, look, I'm going to do it when I'm able to drastically leanify, totally cut down all my costs. You, as a grown woman living in a big city where you just want to be out living this life, made the sacrifice to live in your friend's basement. And it wasn't that unglamorous, but still, that's not that's not where we're working for. Your dream life is not living in someone's basement, right? And you went from working one job to working multiple jobs, 2 of which weren't actually your dream. So it feels like that was a pretty big hit in certain aspects of your life quality that you decided to do in order to do that. So I guess my question is what was hardest about making that decision? And if there's one thing you could say, if someone else is in that situation, right? They've got a side hustle, they got their main job, and they don't know if they're ready to make that transition. What would you tell that person?
For me, it really is you need to evaluate yourself, because at the end of the day, you only have one life to live. And you need to know who you are and how you want to do things. They also say this when it comes to businesses, how do you want to grow? Yeah. Do you want to grow organically, which is kind of slow and a little bit at a time? Or do you want to grow exponentially, really fast? And that affects what you do, the moves you make. And so for me, I knew that I mean, obviously to be an entrepreneur, you're already a risk taker. But I'm more hesitant. I'm a real millennial. We never had money. So the little money I have, I'm trying to save and whatever. Yeah. And so for me, I knew I needed at least something covered by having side hustles in my transition. I knew I needed to make enough to cover rent and expenses, even though I had those 6 months. Because immediately, I want to say a week before the last day at my 9 to 5, for some reason, I caught the nastiest virus and was in the hospital overnight and I had a $2,000 medical bill. Right.
And then that 6 months runway.
A third of what I saved, or, what I mean? A fourth of what I saved. Yeah. And I was like, are you kidding? Yeah. But So I think you have to know yourself, sit down, do some soul searching and say, okay, do I have the type of business that could take off really quick? Do I have the type of support that could support me if I wanted to, I don't know, spend the type of money to open a brick and mortar, if that's your goal, or the type of person to sign off on that, you have to really analyze the type of business you're starting and how you want to make moves. Yeah. For me, it's I know some people are I slept in my car and I really did this and that. I knew I didn't want to do that.
You had your limits too, right? Yeah. Yeah,
I had my limits. So I was living in my friend's basement with a roommate after I lived alone, which was a big sacrifice. Yeah. And it was a tiny spot and it was dark but it was a lot cheaper. Yeah. And I tried to spend a lot of my time outside doing things. And
it wasn't your car. It wasn't your car. It was better than a car, right?
Yeah. And I don't have a car.
I wasn't going to go there, but
But so people decide what their bare minimum is for them. And ideally, I always say, I don't dream of labor. I don't dream of struggle. And so it's a different rock bottom, bare minimum. And I always knew that I was always a great employee. So I could always go back to work if I wanted to. Right. And actually, right at the beginning of the pandemic,
you're about to.
I applied for a job and made it to the 3rd round.
Yeah, I remember.
And that same week is when I got those 500 orders, and I decided to no, I can't. I can't turn back. I have to see this through. Yeah. So I think you just have to do some soul searching and evaluate. And there's no there's no rush unless you feel a rush, you know?
Yeah. So one of my recent guests, Adam Wathen, worked at Titan with me and made his first ebook, and it made a ton of money. And he was like, you know what, if this can do this well, I need to take this risk to go out and see if I can kind of like use that as my runway and then, you know, try my own thing. And it worked out for him. But one of the things he often told me was like, he's like, what's the worst case scenario? The whole thing falls apart and I go get another job. I know I'm going to go deploy. So I think that's a really helpful one, is this whole, like, we have a little bit of a scarcity mindset with jobs and a lot of other things in life. We're just kind of like, oh, well, what am I going to do? Like, you'll get another job if this doesn't work out, right? But you'll never have the chance to try this again, right, in this particular way. But one of the things interesting about the difference between you and Adam is that Adam, as someone who's making digital products, like you just mentioned, he could sell 10 million digital products or one, and it cost him the same amount, effectively the same amount of effort. Whereas for you, your effort scales with the work that you're doing. So I wonder, because I think for people like Adam does a ton of hard work. I don't want to say that, but like for him, I think that what the benefits he gets day to day from being an entrepreneur in the ways he is may not be the same benefits that you get as someone who has to scale up the work that you're doing. You're in the kitchen all the time. You're actually physically creating cookies and shipping things. And then if it gets to the point where you can't do it, you have to that point where like, when are you ready to hire help? So I'm curious for you, like at the stage of entrepreneurship where you are right now, where you are full-time doing what you're doing, but you don't have any like full-time employees or anything like that. What are the day-to-day benefits that come from being the owner of your own business right now? Even though obviously it's not less work, you're doing a ton of work. What are the benefits you do get from it?
Yeah, I think because it's me, I receive all of the accolades, I guess, and also like the personal, like customers will personally reach out to me and I receive that. I feel like, you know, Jenny of Jenny's ice cream isn't necessarily hearing all the like, oh my gosh, yum, this is so good, da 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 da, and seeing all of the like Instagram posts and whatever. So I think with that case, it's like if you email hello@tubbysays.com, it's
going to get Tubby, right?
And so I'm going to hear, you know, the good. There's rarely any bad. There's never any bad.
Exactly.
But I hear, you know, the good directly to me. So that's nice. And to be able to like handle if there are any issues that come about, knowing that like no one else is dropping the ball. Yeah. But in this next phase, I actually am on the cusp of hiring someone again to run production for me. So that way I'm going to be more doing all the other things that are more value for my time, like, you know, selling, marketing, being the face of everything, and doing all the admin stuff behind the scenes.
So when you
go ahead.
When you hire that person, are you now, or have you considered putting yourself in a situation where you hire that person and then you have to go work some side hustles, but it's worth it to help the business keep building? Or are you at the point right now where you're like, no more side hustles, I'm only going to hire somebody when the revenue from the company, the profit from the company can actually support both them and me?
So I'm hiring them through a grant, and then supplementing some of the income through our like revenue.
Would you ever take on a side hustle again temporarily, or are you like, this is a point where I did that, I'm not going to do that anymore?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I've had the option to do like, you know, ad hoc babysitting this whole time in the pandemic, and like, I don't know if I want to.
Well, and I think that's helpful. Just to note, like, that's not like a bad thing. It's like, you're like, I made that sacrifice, and now it's not the right decision for me to make, because like the more you get involved in the company, the more the things that only you can do are, you know, the things that need doing, right? So it's going to be harder and harder to get to the point where like, I'm going to pay somebody who's not quite as attentive, not quite as owning the thing, so that I can go babysit. Like, that doesn't actually make sense versus like the hours put in. So I get that.
I think it would have to be something that I'm like highly skilled for.
Yeah.
Or something that's like totally just fun.
Yeah.
And brings in, like, if all of a sudden I was like a bartender or something.
Yeah. Could be a good
Although
time.
I'm like asleep at like 9 o'clock, so that would not work. I have to be like a daytime.
You guys going to say, you got to find those like day bars where it's just like, you know, in the movies where it's just like a whole bunch of day drinkers. Day drinkers.
Yeah. That would have to be it. Like, it would have to be something where it's like fun and makes a lot of money for like one day a week.
Yeah. Like, that wouldn't hurt. But yeah, and then I think that makes a ton of sense. So obviously, like, this is more about following your dreams, but your dreams don't involve you I assume, going to the kitchen every day for the rest of your life. So
no, not at all.
We're on your way. Like you're in your dream in some ways, but also I think you're still on your way to some parts of your dream. So like, what's the long-term dream that has driven you to put in the amount of work you're putting in right now? Like, where would you like to be?
Yes. So right now we're in our first grocery store.
All right.
It's called Urban Market in Chicago, off of Chicago and Milwaukee Avenue. And our goal coming up is to get into like 10 boutique grocers, like the smaller ones. And hopefully we can do that. But if we have to bypass them because of like, a lot of people are down right now. It's the Q1 of the year and like people are not necessarily bringing on new products. If that's the case and we have to like try to pitch to like a chain or something, then we will. I know my kind of revenue number. As far as like, if we bring in more than this number, I'm going to have to start looking at co-packers because that number equates to a certain amount of cookies and we just like cannot hand produce that much.
Is a co-packer a situation where you basically teach a factory your recipe and they do it to your standards and then pack it in? Okay.
Yeah.
So I assume that and
that's a whole other journey. Right. Like some people kind of pause business and they're like, I'm on my co-packer journey for a year. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how do you do that?
So let's say we were 5 years out from now and you had the setup and the arrangement. And it doesn't even have to be about how Tubby's Taste is doing. But I want to know about like for your life. Like what's the dream for your life 5 years out from now? Are you in the office every day? Is everything running so smoothly that you just travel for 2 months at a time? Like what are you actually looking forward to?
Yeah. 5 years from now, I would like to have a team. I would like to be able to work remotely as far as like, I would like to live in multiple places based on the season.
I like it.
And spend some significant amount of time like back in Miami just with family, like chilling, but like doing work from there.
Yeah, but you don't have to be into the kitchen every day or something.
There's there's no facility that I'm going into.
Right. Yeah.
We're not self-producing. We're in a co-packer.
Could you move to just full co-packing and you wouldn't even have your own facility at all at that point? Oh, cool.
I think so, possibly.
And then the majority of the work that you'd be doing is sales and marketing and, developing new recipes, but you can do that in your own kitchen, right?
Unless we, for some reason, we just still handle the e-commerce side.
Okay. They're going to be packing for the stores and then you're going to be packing for the e-commerce. Okay.
Maybe. Or maybe they make all the stuff for us, but we fulfill those orders.
Got it. That makes sense.
I know some people who do that. Okay. Because with the co-packer, then you'd get into like a distributor. So the co-packer would make all your product, send it to the distributor, I think. Yeah. And then they just hold on to like pallets of your product and like take them to the stores. Okay. But if it's like Matt ordering from me online, like I should have some product too.
Got it. Okay. Like, so they might distribute some to your little tiny warehouse where you're doing your individual shipping out from there. But in theory, you wouldn't be the person doing that, right? Like that's the
no, not me. No, I don't drink flavor.
Right. Remember? So that's the thing. So part of the dream for you is.
Okay, so I am like, popping in over here,
checking in to make sure it's going well. Yeah.
Making sure like, the culture of the team is good. Making sure, like the business is running smoothly, but like there's somebody else who's like, handling the numbers and everything.
Okay. So the dream for Tubby's Taste, I'm sure it's you can tell me that in a second, but the dream for Danielle herself is to be involved in the business, to be the one who's kind of like stamp of approval goes on things, to be the creative director and all stuff like that. But the life goal is not to be stuck in one place in one office every day, but to be able to just go live in Miami for a while, go live in Chicago for a while, get an Airbnb in freaking California for a while, whatever, right? And just have a level of life flexibility that you don't have right now because you have to be going in. And you didn't when you had a 9 to 5, but you could if it became a more flexible remote thing. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would also like to be married and maybe pregnant.
Yeah. Which is a lot easier when you not have to go to the office.
Having a kid somewhere. Yeah. Maybe we adopt. I don't know.
Okay. So last question I have for you, and then of course you can tell me anything else you want to say before we move on to the actual last question of the episode. What's the dream for Tubby's Taste as a company? Like 5 years, 10 years? Like where would you like it to be?
Yeah. I would like to be in like able to get into everyone's hands in the nation, In the US. So being able to like be in larger chain grocery stores, in the Whole Foods, something where you could, be across the country and be able to pick up
that'd be cool.
Favorite Tubby's Taste flavor.
Someone listens to this and they live in Washington or something like that. I'm like, oh, cool. I'm gonna go down to my Whole Foods and they'll grab some Tubby's Taste, right? Which they could do if they go to Tubby'sTaste.com right now, which you'll tell us in a second.
Yeah,
but
we'll ship it to you.
But I totally hear that. Okay, so before I ask, the normal last question I ask everybody else, is there anything else about your kind of journey of like following your dreams that you wanted to talk about that we didn't get to cover yet today?
I think that just an important thing, and I don't know I can't remember what the last question is. So, oh yeah, I remember now. That I think an important thing, or like a really, I guess, value of mine, or I don't know, something I like about myself, is that I feel like I'm never too old for stuff. My knees might tell me different, but like I'm never too old to like explore this new thing, start this new thing. Like I said, there's a big sense of wonder. And then also, like, it's never too late or never not the right time to kind of craft for yourself the life you want to live.
I love that.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this is when you get on your like Instagram worthy, world travels. Like, I don't have money for that.
Right.
But like, there's no limit to like, what you can do and who you can be if you really just like put in the effort and work every single day, to craft the kind of life that you want, within some stipulations, right?
Yeah.
But like, yeah.
I like that.
If that makes any sense. Like you can wake up and say, okay, who do I want to be today? How do I want to be today? What will make my day better? Or like, what practice can I put forth today that'll benefit me in the future? Yeah. So doing stuff today that your future self will be proud of.
Yeah, I love that. And it's interesting because I think that like, I've never heard it the way that you just said it, which is not just like things that will benefit your future self or things you won't regret, but something you'll be proud of, I think is a really unique way of looking at it. Because I think that it sort of gives me like what was that Will Smith movie where I don't want to give away the movie, but like it had
Pursuit of Happiness?
No, I can't say reference what movie it was without giving away the end of the movie. But basically, one of the aspects of the movie ended up being that he was watching people when nobody knew that they were being watched to evaluate their integrity and quality as people. So it's interesting for me because like one of the most important things about integrity to me is being the same person when nobody's watching that I am when they are watching. And I think that what you just said really gives me like an oomph towards that, because like future me is watching what I did right now. Right. And so I really like that. Not like this pejorative, like, oh, it's going to judge you, but like do something that is going to make tomorrow or 10 years from now, Matt, look back and be like, man, I did that. So I really appreciate that a lot.
Yeah.
All right. Your last question. What insight or support did you receive or need when you were younger that you hope that more people will give to others?
I think for me, I know people are always like, representation matters, but it truly does. And I think it wasn't necessarily things that people necessarily maybe said, but just by watching people. So watching my family, like watching people who looked like me baking, just instilled in me that this was something we did. This is something we could do. And I didn't blink an eye when bat an eye when I said, oh, I'm going to learn how to bake from scratch today. Like I woke up one morning in a beautiful kitchen and I said, I'm going to learn how to bake from scratch. And within like 2-3 months of doing that, I bought myself a KitchenAid because I said, who needs to wait till they're married and this is on their registry?
Right. Love my KitchenAid.
Got it, Black Friday sale,
there you go.
A KitchenAid. If I had known I would have been in this business and been good at it, I would have bought a bigger one because my bowl is so small.
Right.
And yeah, it wasn't until my roommate at the time was like, girl, I burn things from a box. This is a talent. That is also not her voice. I'm disguising the voices for everyone's identity.
So we don't know who it is. It's totally, it's very thoughtful of you.
So, I think just representation matters, and more so than your original question of like, what insight or whatever it is that I saw growing up. Like on the flip side, I want to try to be that representation for others. So as we're moving through the world, you know, how can you set that example, I guess, too?
I love that. All right. So if people heard this and they think, wow, she's just the best person I've ever heard in my entire life. I wish I could be your best friend, but since I can't do that, I'll just try and support her in some other way. What would it look like for somebody to follow your journey, support you financially, taste your cookies, whatever?
So you can go to tubbystaste.com, TUBBYS, taste.com. And you can order cookies there for shipping. If you're in Chicago, we do local delivery and pickup on certain days, select days. Don't be late. Don't show up late because it's me. Yep. Anyway, or you can go to Urban Market in Chicago and then just stay connected with us at Tubby's Taste on Instagram or on Facebook, on Twitter, and we'll announce like updates that way. If you sign up for our email list, we like to tell you about sales and we like to tell you about where we're going to be, whether it's a pop-up or a new store that we're in. So it's not, and I create the email, so we're not flooding your inbox.
Yes, because you don't got time for that.
And I check whenever people unsubscribe, and I'm like, oh, I can't believe it. Susan? No, I'm just kidding.
Maybe just a little bit.
I know what it's like to have like Groupon be emailing you all the time. Multiple times a day. I don't know how they still have my email address.
Okay. So all the social medias.
And if you see this and this is something you like, slide in those DMs.
There you go. We talked about those plans about being married with the baby, so you know.
Yeah. So working on a 5-year plan.
All right. I can vouch for Miss Tubby. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I would really encourage everybody else, if you live in the U.S., to just give the cookies a try. I give them as gifts to friends because I like them so much. They're really that good. But also, in doing so, you'd support Danielle's dream. But regardless, I'd also strongly encourage you all to listen to this. And if there's something you've been wanting to do, maybe go back and re-listen to this like 3 more times so you can feel that inspiration to just go do that thing. So, Danielle, thank you so much for joining today and spending your time and sharing with us. All right.
Thank you for having me. And start small, people. If you don't want to just jump off a cliff, start small. You know, make sure if you're trying to sell a product or a service that people want it.
Yeah, turns out that matters more than what you're building, is that people actually want what you're building. So
yeah, or it's just a hobby that you enjoy. Do it for those reasons. But if you want to make money, make sure that you can.
Right. Good point. Well, for the rest of you all, until we see you next time, be good to each other. All right, so after we got off the call, I realized I should have asked Danielle for a coupon code. So she just made one right now. So can you tell us about this coupon code real quick?
To get 10% off your purchases in the month of February, support Black History Month.
February 2022.
Yes, support Black History Month.
There you go.
Use the code TWL, as in Things Worth Learning, 10, TWL10, to get 10% off your purchases in the month of February 2022.
Awesome. Thanks, Danielle.
Welcome. Bye.
Bye.